My name is Janet Down. This year I am coordinating the Ansley contribution to the National Garden Scheme 2020. Unfortunately, due to the COVID virus, the 6 gardens that were supposed to take part haven't been able to. Only 2 gardens are able to open on the 28th of June from 10 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You do have to book online on the National Garden Scheme website, and the 2 gardens are One Park Cottages and the Old Police House, number 66 Birmingham Road. We'd love you to join us if you'd like to. However, the other gardens are absolutely beautiful, and we really wanted to celebrate those gardeners who've worked so hard this year. So we've put this video together for you to enjoy in your own home, and perhaps this might encourage you to think about whether you would like to join in and contribute your garden towards an open garden in 2021. I'm hoping that when you see the video you might be encouraged to take part in 2021, because we are planning to run an open garden for Ansley in that year. So have a think about it, and if you do want to get involved, get in touch with me via the Ansley Community Facebook page and we will take your contact details. Enjoy the video. Walking down the lane in the middle of North Warwickshire. This is One Park Cottages, and this is our front bed, which is quite shady and probably the most challenging to populate, but beautiful anyway. The rose round the front door is an Albertine rose, which was planted in memory of a dear friend. Ancient roses nestling with clematis and a vine. Been here probably as long as the house has, which is over 100 years. And then we've got some English geraniums. This is an early rose, absolutely beautiful, comes out so prolific, and if I'm very good at deadheading, then we have a lovely second show as well. And then out the back here, this is much more of a country garden, and this is in our mauve period, and we do have some beautiful roses, very ancient roses, can't take the credit for those. And then over here we have alliums, and I have a hydrangea that's a pink hydrangea, and aquilegia, a load of This is a water feature that my husband created during lockdown. He had a month on furlough and he created it with Cumbrian stone, and we've got a pump at the top, a sump at the bottom, and it flows a stream all the way down, and we planted out alpines around it and roses, various different perennial plants, and it ends up in a little rock garden now, and the rest of the garden has roses, lupins, irises that have gone, and some English geraniums. This gooseberry bush produced 2 gooseberries this year, have no idea why, still puzzling over that. And then we have peony and sea hollies, a killer I think it's called, or perhaps pronounced differently, a very large poppy that's finished now, and at the back we have some sunflowers. This is a new bed we created this year, and we're just trying some shade loving plants under the buddleia and holly, and we've bought some red hot pokers, which are my husband's favourite, and this goes round to a slightly African themed garden leading to our tiki hut. This is a new garden we created this year. We hacked back the laurel because it was overtaking the garden, and we've now put shade loving plants. We've got a Dotty Betty, which is rather lovely and produced the most amazing leaves, and a number of ferns, Bleeding Heart, Lily of the Valley, I have a little fairy glen there, it's rather sweet, and that's the corner of our garden.
Morning, my name is Adrian Norgrove. Live in Ansley Village, North Warwickshire, and we've lived at this house for 35 years and created the garden from a field. There was nothing here when we came. Climbing plant Tracleospermum jasminoides. Has a nice scent. You see them in garden centres a foot high. You don't realise they grow to 30 feet high. And then this is rose, old-fashioned rose, James Galway. These are old-fashioned musk roses, which are now over, but they were beautiful and do smell beautiful. And tomatoes that's actually come through the front garden, from the front garden. This Photinia, variegated form. There's some roses at the back as well, which are part of the hedge, and these tall trees are actually abutilons, hardy abutilons, which unfortunately are now over. You can see how many flowers there have been from the pot. They're white and purple, mauve. New bed of salvias, woody salvias, which are very good value for money. They flower from end of May to October. Golden silvers, which one's that? Schumer. These are all pretty well over and they're cutting down, but I haven't done it yet. The Stilby, that's a pink one just about to come out. It's nice, these aren't out, they were out wide in the sun a couple of days ago. That's the yellow version. White version, and there's a pink one just coming there. That's 30 foot for 12 foot for 4 foot deep. Everlasting sweet peas, perennial sweet peas growing through from the back. Aces, various aces, there's several aces. That's a golden ceanothus, which has been covered in blue flowers. Amarantia tree here, which flowers February. Another salvia, that's hot lips. That's hot lips. There've been beautiful peonies, which are now over as well. They're a lovely bowl of beauty and the like. And there's a hamamelis that flower in January, the tree at the back. And that's Viburnum plicata and Mauritii, this at the front, which is the layered white flowers in layers, which again is over. A lot of things are over. And this is the sunken garden, which we created with several tons of gravel many years ago, 30 years ago. All different There are lots of different types of geranium. They're all hardy geraniums, but there's lots of different types. And they're just a sweet pea canes I was put up. There's sweet peas that were left over from the main lot. This blue eyes, which smells beautiful, that row. There's bamboos and things in pots that move into the gazebo in the winter when it's very cold, and the rest of the very hardy, very tender stuff goes into the greenhouse. And that's Hartledge wine, and that other one's Chinensis next to it, which you'll see has got beautiful white flowers on. See yellow Martigan lilies in the wild bit. This is normally all daffodils, I think. There's a beautiful one down the corner of Dartbury, which is, we bought them because we saw them in Switzerland on the mountainsides in wooded bits, and this is just how they look in the woods in Switzerland. The area of this, the different coloured pieces, hundreds of daffodils, naturalised obviously in the spring, then followed by Camassia, and now there's Martigan lilies, a few Martigan lilies dotted about. This rocket, radish, a trough I made for carrots, keep them up off the ground so they don't get carrot fly.
My name's Hilary Ward. I live here with Mike, my husband. The house was the old police house in Ansley. We don't actually know very much about what it looked like originally, but a very large extension, two-storey extension, was put on the back before we bought it. But the garden was just a field when we came. There was absolutely nothing, not a single plant. So the garden has been developed over the 5 years that we've been here, and it's shrubs and herbaceous plants mainly. And that's a Weigelia which has flowered. It's only been in a year, so it's doing quite nicely. The Hemerocallis, I have quite a few Hemerocallis because they're such good value, even though they only stay out for a short space of time. This is my very favourite clematis. Unfortunately, again, nearly finished, but it's a really beautiful one. Mrs. N. Thompson, I've got two of those. The Lark Ascending rose here, a David Austin rose, one of my favourite roses, if not my all-time favourites. I've put a few clematis in to cover the fence, so they only have gone in this year, hence they're very small still. But this one is called Ansley, and so next year hopefully they'll have grown up a bit and be covering more of the fence. We had some beautiful white peonies here, again almost finished. This is another of my favourite roses. I have quite a few single ones, but this one is Sally Holmes, which just is such good value. It just keeps flowering and flowering and flowering. This is a nice Hypericum which has, you can just see them coming, has red berries when the flowers have finished. And this is a Darcy Bustle rose.
Rhododendrons don't do terribly well in our garden usually, but there is a variety that you can grow in neutral soils. Actually, we've got quite an alkaline soil here, but I thought I'd give it a try. Hydrangeas like our soil. The buddleia's been eaten at the back. This is an exocordia, which is lovely in the spring with beautiful white flowers. And the ceanothus was absolutely covered this year. I think the hot weather that we had earlier in the year really brought some of the plants on. We have a fabulous view, and that was one of the reasons for buying the house, and the garden has been made so that we don't lose the view, and we keep that view across to Old Arley. It's got a bit battered by the rain this week. More Hemerocalis, as you can see, going round. Philadelphus behind there. I tried to put some sweet smelling things behind this so that when we sit on this patio we can smell the plants. This is a viburnum, which is very beautiful smell earlier in the spring. Lots of clematis and roses, and some jasmine and various other climbers, mostly clematis and roses, I have to say, because they do well in our soil. Tubs of dahlias, another lark ascending, and this is a Princess Anne rose, which is very prolific. Another Philadelphus. This rose is Shropshire Lad, and the clematis is Ernest Markham. And this is a Phyllis Bide patio rose, which again is very prolific, goes on flowering for ages. I'd have to check Clematis Rebecca. I'd have to fish around for it. I've got a note of them all. And up this end, under the trees, lots of hostas and sedums. This is obviously a cherry, a Managoa, and this is a Cornus causa, which has had some bracts for the first year. They take a few years before the bracts appear, and so it's only been in 4 years, but they are coming, starting to come now. And that's it. And then I grow things in tubs always, lots of bedding, and in the spring they're full of tulips and daffodils and other things.
Well, welcome to our garden. This is what we call our haven. It's small, very intimate garden, but I think as you have a look around it, you'll find that it's absolutely packed with stuff. We've managed to get tomatoes going, some beetroots, and our strawberries are coming on. We've left one on there. We were going to pick it this morning, but we thought we'd leave that so that you can see it when you're doing a tour of the garden. And as you can see, we sit out here quite a lot. The sun moves down the garden during the day, so we usually have breakfast and lunch here when it's nice days. We move up to the next level to give us a view over the garden, and then we take these chairs further up the garden and sit and just watch the afternoon sun. So the shame that we've had with all the rain is that a lot of stuff, the roses in particular, some of them have gone over, but there are still loads of them to come out yet. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to see a sense of you can do gardening in a very small space. You can pack it with as much stuff as you like, we don't have a particular plan. We just plant all the stuff that we like and see if it goes there. If it doesn't work, then we perhaps move it somewhere else, or just we get used to it. We've got some beautiful honeysuckle over here, so in the evening when we come out, the smell, the scents are absolutely beautiful. So we had actually planned that bit, putting the honeysuckle on both sides of the garden. So we have it here, we have it on the other side, so as you sort of come out in the evenings. And then we've got quite a lot of clematis that are sort of growing up, going towards the kitchen window. We're just waiting for those to come into flower. We have our grapevine, and this year we're lucky enough to have, we haven't been able to chop that much because we've got some blackbirds that are nesting, and at the moment there are 4 eggs in the nest waiting to hatch. So we're very excited about that, but obviously we wouldn't want to disturb them. And this part of the garden, a friend of ours gave us these Welsh poppies, and I don't do anything about plating them, they just drift about the garden each year. And we just finished taking out all the forget-me-nots. The garden was absolutely covered earlier on in those, so you can see we've got a mixtures of purples, whites. The Canterbury bells are particularly nice, and I do deadhead those quite frequently to sort of keep them going. And the Cotoneaster, which we bought as a very small plant from our previous house. Yeah. So, and that has grown and grown over the years, and it's a marvellous haven in the winter time with all the berries on it for the birds that sort of come and particularly like it. We've got some wild sweet peas that you can see just sort of coming up just in front of the Cotoneaster, and those I think they're the purple. We've got pinks and purple ones. They're dotted about various places in the garden. And the buddleia is very important because that just brings loads of butterflies when that's in flower. So we just try and fill the place with as much as we can.
Good morning, my name is Heather and this is my husband Roger. We've been here for 44 years in the village, and this is the first time that we are actually opening for the National Gardens scheme.
You can talk about your tubs if you want.
We have our fig tree, we planted it there. It was in a tub for 3 years and it did nothing. So a few months ago we put it in the ground and it's now got 2 figs on it, which we're delighted with.
Okay.
Heather has come to gardening very late. She really wasn't interested. Neither of us were particularly interested. We've been here 40 years, as she said, but recently, the last 2 or 3 years, she's started enjoying getting out into the garden. We haven't done a great deal down here, no doubt she'll be saying get rid of those shrubs, which I had to do on the other side of the garden. I had to move them. So this side of the garden hasn't got a great deal of attention. James Grieve's apple.
It's a newly dug border underneath the apple tree. It was just grass, it was very wild. So a few months ago I dug it up and we had a lovely show of daffodils and primroses and crocuses. And now we planted it with perennials.
This was dug in the last 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks. There was half a ton of builder's rubble in there, half bricks, full bricks, glazed bricks. It took an eternity to dig it out, but I put dahlias in. Before we came here, I lived in a small house in Coventry and had a front garden with 40 different dahlias in, and I haven't managed to grow them since we came here, so I'm trying again.
Roger came back the other day with it, and said it's to remind us of our holidays that we're not going to be having this year. Fruit bushes this year, we've got our raspberry cane, our blueberry bush, and the black currants have been here for many years. And then we've got the newly planted gooseberry and rhubarb.
And scarecrows.
And scarecrows.
2 years ago, blackbirds had every single blackcurrant. They're not having any this year.
Do they work?
Well, we don't know.
The net works. The net works.
The netting works.
Yeah, Hansel and Gretel. More nasturtium was in pots. Mysore it was.
Mice.
Where we saw the garden.
This looks beautiful.
Well, this has been the part of the garden that Heather's concentrated on. This used to have lots of shrubs like the other side, Lazy Man's garden. They've all had to come out, and many trips to garden centres. One week we visited 8.
And you're labelling all your plants, Heather.
I'm trying to, yes, as I remember them. Unfortunately, quite a few labels blew away, and so I am struggling to find the names, but I am going to garden centres and looking and finding out the names gradually and putting the labels down.
More nasturtiums.
More nasturtiums.
Yeah.
Will you eat them?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
And not a black fly in sight, which is
So this is Pete and Joan McParland's garden in Ansley, and as we walk in we see the mallow, which is absolutely glorious. Okay Joan, tell me a little bit about your garden.
We've lived here for 40 years, but in the last 2 years we've sold the top part of the old garden, and so everything was moved and we lost quite a lot of plants, and we're just in the process of refiguring it and redoing it actually. So this wall was built 18 months ago, so that's when we started replanting the garden. So there's still some work to do. But we've been enjoying it too, actually. So, we put some of the old logs over there, put some ferns around it, and some of the old trees that were taken down, piled them up, and torn down.
And have you made this decking area?
Yeah, Pete we did have a deck in the old garden, so we reconfigured it here, and then he built this path and then we've got this like the sound of water. We used to have one.
This is a lovely use of your old bricks.
And then we've got all the bricks from the house.
Oh, I love it.
There was an old stable here, so we've had these bricks, and they've been moved around the garden for 40 years. We found a use for them at last. Decided to do some vegetables and raspberries and things.
And this is your veg plot.
Yes.
I love your old roller. Do you use it?
Do you use it, Pete? We do.
We have done in the past.
We have done in the past, not recently.
Makes a nice garden feature, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's
Needs a
lovely.
bit of maintenance.
It's leaning against the old boundary fence that was originally put there. And we've got the deeds for the house from George III's time when 2 men bought the land, and we're just wondering how long there's another one up there, wondering how long they've been there. And we've got the older horseshoes, because this house used to be a bakery, used to be a big bakery on the side, and they used to have stables here with horses to deliver the bread, so that's why the horseshoes are there. And we're still in the process of this side of the garden. It will change. We're going to put an arch there, and a rose arch in front of the house.
So we'll see that next year.
Well, yeah, I tried that.
We've just got the one water butt and it was overflowing, so what I did, I drilled a hole in the top side and put a pipe in it, and then it ran into different containers.
Oh wow!
And we've got a wheelie bin there, and that's full of water now.